Hello and welcome to Chats, a television podcast, Season 12, PeaksChatz. My name is Magellan, and my co-host's mind is like a diamond. It's cold, hard, and brilliant. I think they feigned the love for Season 2 that sent them into this rewatch, but at some point they lost the ability to distinguish between what's fire and what's trash. It's Alan.
It's so painfully true. I don't know the difference anymore. My meters are all sorts of off.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is now that we have listeners that respond to us about things instead of just us spitting into the void, is people will be like, literally 5 minutes ago you said that you thought James was bad. And I'm like, I've never loved anyone more than I've loved James. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why, but it's the truth in my heart. So thank you.
I, no joke, had the thought in my mind when we were watching this episode, is this my favorite episode of Twin Peaks? And then the other part of my brain activated and I was like, what are you saying? What is wrong with you? This is bad. And
no, it's not.
No, it's good. It's good. But there's a bit of a double play happening in my brain.
Whoa, that's the double play. Interesting.
Oh, the titular
episode of Twin Peaks that we talked about this week. We talk about 2 a week specifically, folks, here on PeaksChatz. It's a cult classic TV show, and we just can't get enough of them. And this week, the first one, as mentioned, was Season 2, Episode 14, Double Play. Magellan, give me the credits, please, so I can read the summary.
You keep doing that.
You can't let him keep doing this. You can't keep getting away with this.
Wait, what's that from?
I don't know.
Getting away with this. What's that from?
It's from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's what it is. You're right. Anyway, we watched Double Play and Slaves and Masters this week. First off, Double Play. It was directed by Uli Edel.
I think it's Uli.
Uli? Okay. Uli Edel. Written by Scott Frost. It aired on February 2nd, 1991. And Alan, what happened in Double Play?
Well, Magellan, in this episode, Wyndham Earle has taken his first victim in the deadly chess game. Audrey tells Bobby that they have to save Ben from his Civil War fantasy. Leo awakes and attacks Shelley, but Bobby is able to fend him off. Come on. I feel like I'm rating summaries at this point. This is why I should commit to writing summaries every week, because, damn, fam.
That's a very Bobby heavy summary for an episode that is actually very Jacoby heavy.
Yeah, this is the Jacoby hour here on PeaksChatz.
This episode is the most we've seen of Jacoby and Doc Hayward, I think, ever.
Ever. No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And, both of these episodes featured really distinct directing. Uli Edel is a fairly prolific German director. I have no idea what brought him to Twin Peaks or why he directed this episode. It's not an extremely distinctive directing style, especially compared to the next one, which we'll talk about. But I think it's pretty competently directed. I think it's well produced. And I usually don't like the Scott Frost scripts, but this one it's interesting.
Scott Frost, purveyor of some pretty buck wild misogyny in the last outing, and this one had some
as well
pervasive stuff like that, but it was a more enjoyable episode for sure. It was entertaining throughout. I think
it's sometimes that's the best we can ask for in
this area of Twin Peaks, especially
exactly this valley that we're in. So what were some things that stuck out to you in this episode? What were some scenes that you wanted to crunch into?
Well, I don't want to start with my favorite stuff. Maybe we could just go through semi-chronologically and hit entire plots when we start them. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
So I think we can just sort of update where we're at with Wyndham Earle. How are you feeling on Wyndham Earle right now? We get a lot of Wyndham Earle talk in this one.
Mm-hmm. The chess stuff is getting out of hand. It's also bleeding into my real life now.
Okay.
I was telling Magellan, I had improv class yesterday, and we did an exercise where you can't talk. It's a no die. It's based on a TJ and Dave thing that they do as warm-ups. And so it's he gives you a mood or a thing to work on, that you like doing. And then he says, you and your partner are going to just build this scene together based on a prompt, and you can't talk. And I immediately jumped to a chess game, the most intense chess game of my life. And it was like the gag was that I thought I was really good. He was my partner was not very invested. And then I like thought I was about to win, but I made a crucial error and lost, and I flipped the table, and it's hilarious. I think Wyndham Earl is just like the nexus of chess nonsense in the show. And it's starting to get really funny how much chess BS there is. I can't say that word. And I'm like, chess is already not a word to me anymore. But God, chess pawn found in the mouth of the man. He's pointing to the chessboard. At the end of the episode, Wyndham Earl brings a chessboard to Leo's house to just play it. And I love to think that he just has a backpack like Shang-Chi and his 10 rings or something or whatever. And he just carries chessboards, multiple chessboards.
Because in the next episode, he's just wearing some long johns, but like he doesn't have anything else on his person except that and like a face putty kit and a chessboard.
That's all I need to party.
I'm sick of the chess stuff too. But I was trying to challenge myself on it and think about, is this really like any worse than One-Eyed Jacks or Hank sucking on a domino or, they've done a lot of stuff like this in the show, but I think what sets this apart is that they really think it's like a cool metaphor. Mm-hmm. And it's just so rote. I don't know. Like the prisoner did chess metaphor better 30 years before, and 20 years before. We can retire it now. It's fine.
The prisoner stays winning because now there's a new game that just came out, Deathloop, which is like, what if the prisoner was a game where you're being chased by a hunter and you have to like fight them, and it's like a shooter kind of, and it's like, all right.
Boo.
Boo is what I say to that. But you're on a prisoner island and you have guns and stuff. I think it's actually cooler than that. I'm being pedantic. But anyways, the chess stuff, it's getting a little bit excessive. We get the like true first introduction of Wyndham Earl in person at the end of this episode. Mm-hmm. And I thought that scene was kind of fun. The guy's pretty good. I think he really saves a lot of it for me, that he's just like he's one of these TV villain guys who has a sort of orb head and, classy eyeballs. Sorry. Wow.
He's a human being, but he has a look, there's like TV bad guys that have this sort of wiry look, and he's not doing anything revelatory, but he's doing this particular trope in a very entertaining way.
Kenneth Welsh is the actor's name.
Yeah, shout outs to my boy. I'm sorry, Ken, for Kenneth, Mr. Welsh. I'm sorry for my comments before.
Please be on our show. Yeah. I'll never forget the comment where he was like, he wanted to be in the return and nobody asked.
Can you imagine what it would be like to have him on to talk about what he thinks Wyndham Earl would be up to during the return?
Oh my God. Like, what do you think he's up to 25 years later?
Yeah.
We'll track that. We'll track that and see if we can if our social media expert can wrangle that guess.
Yeah, let's do the 6 degrees and see how that works out.
Wyndham Earl is sending more chess pieces. Is this the one where they talk about the rigor mortis and the finger, or is that in the second one?
I think so. Yeah.
No,
that's the second one because Albert. It's out with Albert.
Oh yes. Yeah, they're stretching that chess metaphor as far as they possibly can. I thought the double play was a chess thing. If I understand it correctly, it's a baseball term. Generally, it's when you make 2 outs in the same play. That's called a double play.
Yeah, what's that a reference to?
Also, yeah, what is that in this episode? Like what? Do you want to help us pace ourselves here? Do you want me to tell you what read you the log lady clip at the beginning of this episode?
Sure. I also wanted to talk about Harry and Truman.
Oh, yeah.
In this episode, but
Harry and Truman?
Harry, Cooper and Truman. Sorry.
It's like, wait, hold on. Basically, she talks about the heart. It's a physical organ, but how much more is it an emotional organ? This we also know. Love, like blood, flows from the heart. Are blood and love related? Does a heart pump blood as it pumps love? Is love the blood of the universe? Ba-dum, 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 psh, psh.
Is that what this Is that what this episode's about?
Love. Maybe that's just the Evelyn stuff.
I guess it's that, and also the Milford stuff with Lana.
Yeah.
And,
the heart stuff.
I guess
so.
Bobby, I don't know.
The dad, Ben. Tell me about what you think about Trooper and Kuman. I mean. I'm not correcting myself.
There's some good moments. I mean, first of all, one of the most sexually charged exchanges they've ever had, in my opinion, which is where Truman's like, "Hey, how's the case going?" Cooper says, "All the charges have been dropped, but I'm still suspended." And Cooper, by the way, is rocking that Spider-Man 3 Peter Parker hairstyle and looking nice. And then they have this exchange.
In the meantime, you're still my deputy.
Oh.
If you want this case, it's yours. Harry?
It's him unbuttoning his pants.
I thought the same thing. I mean, that's just like oozing in subtext. Anyway. Harry, I want it.
I thought he was going to be like, Cooper, if you want it, you're going to have to get it from my pants or something like really wild like that.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's that. And then there's a more serious scene later where Cooper fills Truman in on all the backstory that we already know. Mm-hmm. Which was...
He fleshes it out, though. He mentions like, this is where he says like Caroline was his wife and I loved her. Like he basically says everything except like I loved Wyndham Earle's wife.
Yeah. Well, then eventually does say it. He says like she was his wife, but it takes him a minute to get there. And what I like about the Wyndham Earle plot, I think there's a lot of cheesiness to it, and it's certainly no substitute for the Laura Palmer case as like an anchor to the show.
Yeah.
And Em a couple episodes ago talked about how we're in the era of Twin Peaks where everything's a B plot. And it definitely feels that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do like Cooper acknowledging that. He says, Harry, I've brought some baggage to town I haven't told you about. Like, he's like, this is my fault. This is my thing, my problem. And he's recognizing just his culpability in that and like what he's doing to the town. Some of the stuff that Jean Reno was talking about in the previous episode. Mm-hmm. And that, I don't know, complicating Dale Cooper, making him out to be kind of like a dangerous loser and like someone who makes bad choices. Pretty interesting. And him contrasting himself with Wyndham Earle as this guy who's like cool and logical and like can always figure stuff out. And it exaggerates Cooper being this like hippy dippy spiritual guy. I'm into it.
I'm very into it. And I think rustling up Cooper is where you make the Wyndham Earle stuff interesting to me.
Yeah.
That's how you craft a villain that works, is by making them like have the protagonist reflect off of himself and be like, why am I like this?
Yeah. And it just also speaks to, I think it calls to mind the whole, like, it's happening again thing of Cooper knows who's doing these murders. He knows like how he's doing them. He also knows that they happen every time he loses a piece in the chess game. And it really is making clear that this is happening because of Cooper's bad choices or his failures. And I think that is narratively compelling to me.
Mm-hmm. I think there is a funny I had a hard laugh at once per plot line this episode.
What was your hard laugh in this plot line?
It was when he goes, Truman, Wyndham Earle's mind is like a diamond. It's like cold and hard and brilliant.
Yeah.
Well written line, but very much a written line,
Yes. Yeah.
And I appreciate that. We have Shelley Leo stuff. I think we can touch on very briefly because it does cap the episode. It tops and caps. It bookends the episode. There you go. That's the word. This stuff is paced like they wanted to just do a Hitchcock movie, but didn't put any of the interesting stuff. Or like a thriller. Like there's the scene where like they're running around her house in the dark, and Leo is like never in frame. He's always right behind, and she trips over the wheelchair. He rolls it out to like attack her, and I think you had mentioned this in your notes, and I'm willing to we can talk about this, but like we here at PeaksChatz have not really talked enough about the portrayal of abuse for Shelley. I mean, we've talked in like season 1 about like her character kind of runs out of things to do when she's not being physically abused or like verbally abused, whatever. But it just continues. It's like Leo's back and we're just right back at square one, and that really sucks.
Yeah, I think I have a couple thoughts related to this. Actually, I think the first is, what you're saying, that I don't know. It's really easy to just be in the space of like, man, Leo, what a stupid character. Like, this is ridiculous. And I think it's worth, at least for me, I've been kind of dismissive of Leo as a character and his portrayal, and therefore dismissive of like the Shelley Leo relationship, which I think is like kind of careless on my part, because like it belongs in this show. In the show where you have Laura Palmer's murder and like everything surrounding it and the circumstances of her life, also looking at this like domestic violence is a part of that world and a part of the same sort of message. I do think that some of the critiques of that still stand, that like Leo is a bit of a caricature. And we have like very haphazard moments of agency from Shelley. But I was just reflecting on that when Leo came to and was lumbering around, that like, yeah, this is a genuinely scary sequence, and it's like entirely grounded in reality, and like a reality that people experience all the time.
It's a valuable tentpole to this, because you have, like you said, the Laura Palmer stuff, you have the Leo Shelley stuff, and the Nadine Ned stuff complicates the idea of like structural abuse towards women. And then obviously the James Evelyn stuff like does its best to be a commentary on that, and then just becomes exactly that. It falls deeply into that hole by the second episode, and we see the rumblings of that here. Yeah. So I think violence against women has been like core to Twin Peaks, and they haven't forgotten that. Say what you will about like what plots they have for example completely forgotten about, like Laura Palmer's murder or the Palmer family. Or what's up with Sarah? Like a lot of that stuff has just been on the back burner, but this stuff has always been front and center.
Just some other thoughts on this sequence and the plot as a whole. It is upsetting that Shelley is, basically just in this to scream, and like that makes sense. Like that's probably what she would do in real life, but there's just not a lot of checking in with Shelley or like processing how she's experiencing this really terrifying thing, or what she's going to choose to do next. Or we spend so much more time with Bobby just like bopping around and hanging out with Audrey, and like it's fine in the eyes of the show that he's doing that. And it's like, I don't want to go follow Bobby doing the Civil War bullshit. Like that's not the half of this couple that I'm invested in right now. I'm invested in like what are Shelley's plans and actions. Yeah. And then there's just a bunch of goofy shit in here that undercuts it in a bad way. Like there's this clown on the wall. You see that clown?
Yeah, I think that's because when they had Leo's birthday party, they forgot to take the stuff off the wall.
Okay.
That was my I had the same thought, because it's like a very dramatic scene. There's just this clown on the wall, and obviously they kept it there because it's like evocative, like evil clowns and stuff. Scary stuff under comedy, but also like they just had a birthday party and they never put the stuff away.
Yeah. The other goofy thing is when Leo says,
"Goodbye, wife."
That's my laugh of this plot line. Goodbye, wife is what I say.
Wife.
Goodbye, wife is what I say when I wake up in the morning to go to my 9-to-5 job.
Goodbye, wife. And it's like this. am I supposed to feel for Leo? Like the way that was written, it's close up on him. Like he has the music like gives him space to deliver this line.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye, wife. You want me to like feel something? Like what what are you doing right now? What a stupid line.
I don't know. I more read it as the show saying, hey, they're still like, isn't that effed up? They're still married, like reminding you more than anything else. But it's an awkward line.
But for what purpose are they reminding us of that?
To emphasize how messed up it is that this happens amongst a married couple. It's not like strangers that harm you. It's your spouse.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm giving the show a lot of credit.
I could see that. I think it's a moment where you're supposed to be like, oh man, Leo still like cares about her as his wife. Poor Leo. Like, and it's like, fuck off.
Yeah. I don't need Leo pathos.
I can see what you're saying. Something that I'm thinking a lot about in this part of season 2 is the way that like it's simultaneously doing ridiculous new things because it's like we got to add new stuff, but also trying to return and redo stuff from old Twin Peaks. To like be safe. And this is an example of that. Oh, Leo's awake again. And now we have that.
What do we do with Leo? Well, he attacks Shelley.
Yeah. Or like Norma and Ed. It's like, yeah, they're gonna do their thing again.
Uh-huh. Congrats to them. Aren't they so happy?
Yeah.
So weird. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're doing that?
Yeah, I think because it's known territory, right? It's just like easier, safer to be like, we need to be Twin Peaks. What's Twin Peaks? Well, Leo's awake and all this other stuff that was going on in season 1.
Speaking of things echoing the past, made a comment that maybe the Little Nicky plot line is supposed to echo. Hold on, everybody.
Okay.
Holding out to your seats. It's sort of like Leland Palmer.
Okay. But tell me more.
I so appreciate that you're willing to meet me halfway on my bull crap.
I'm willing to go there, yeah.
So, if you think a defenseless child is capable of murder, then maybe you're not fit to be parents, says Lucy to Dick and Andy. But, like, he did commit... Well, at least from our understanding here, before we get the full, like, understanding of Little Nicky, we are to understand that he did a murder. And whether or not that was intentional because he has an evil inside of him or what, I think the show is actually trying to say like, other people have evil inside of them too. It's not just adults. We have it from our youth because of the trauma that we grow up with.
Can I push against Ed a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
Where textually is it confirmed that Little Nicky killed his parents?
I don't think it is. They do. Is it? I don't know. I'm sorry. I watched these not back to back, but I watched the later one just earlier today. So I'm forgetting what's in which plot, which episode. Where's the part where they explain it?
It's this episode where Doc Hayward gives that wild Little Nicky backstory monologue to Dick and Andy.
So let's talk about that, and then we can that'll help me answer your question a little bit. What does he tell them?
I honestly tuned out. I don't know. He basically said that Little Nicky's parents died by other means.
I thought it was. Hold on. Let me find it. I'm looking, guys. Don't.
It's basically Lucy. Andy tells Lucy, like, we think Little Nicky killed his parents. And Lucy's like, that's absurd. You guys are ridiculous. Then she goes and tells Doc Hayward, come to the police station and tell Dick and Andy they're being ridiculous. Doc Hayward is like, Dick Tremaine, I delivered you into this world and I'll take you out of it.
I'll put you back.
Yeah, he really lays down the law. And then he says, you guys think that a little kid did this? Here's what happened. You know, they were immigrants trying to come here for a better life, and then they died, and
here it
is.
It's
just a kid and all that.
Yes, exactly. There isn't much to it, actually. Hayward explains to Andy and Dick that Nicky was conceived by an assault on his immigrant mother, who died in childbirth, and then the orphan Nicky went on to lose his loving foster parents in a car accident. Because he was in the car accident too, but he was like 6, so he couldn't like free them from this burning car, and like watched his foster parents like die. So Little Nicky has experienced significant trauma, but like this is the show saying like, okay, trauma doesn't define you. That doesn't make you a bad person. Like Little Nicky's just, you know, he's going through a lot, and he has a difficulty with like obviously cars. The scene with Dick Tremaine suddenly makes a lot of sense. I actually thought that this moment had a little bit of pathos to it and made me think about like the little Nicky plotline a little bit more seriously than I was.
Mm-hmm. But that's different than what you were saying before, right?
Than it being a Leland Palmer.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of the similarity is the show saying, here is this person's background. Is it easier for you to accept that they're a murderer or that something else is going on? Is it easier for you to accept that little Nicky is like possessed by the devil, or accept the truth of it, which is that he experienced 2 parental deaths in like the first 10 years of his life? And the same thing with Leland. Is it easier for you to accept that he did these things to Laura Palmer, or that he was possessed by an evil spirit? That's the parallel, I think.
But I think the show is like kind of, I think it's like slapping you on the wrist for ever thinking that little Nicky was a devil. Almost. That's how I interpret this.
Which is the opposite of how it treats the Leland plotline completely.
Yeah.
Because it's like, no, he didn't do it. I mean, that's our biggest problem with the Leland plotline in season 2, is that they're like, oh, well, Leland didn't do it. Bob did it.
Yeah, but I think it's even like, I don't think little Nicky killed anybody.
Like, no, I don't think so either. No.
Okay. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying then.
I'm more saying like we understand why Dick and Andy think that he's a bad person. And what Lucy really gets at, because we're very much in the weeds here, and with this plotline doesn't warrant this much overthinking, but it's what we do here on the pod, is she's like, if you guys can't accept that and like understand that people are complicated, then being a parent is going to be very difficult for you, because you're going to take a lot of this very seriously and worry too much about the wrong things. So that's the development here. That's the like on the page development. I just think that there's some interesting parallels that you can make between a lot of the different plot lines here and what we've talked about in seasons past. So.
And Dick Germain cries pretty good too.
Really good. I love watching that man emote. Good, bad, sad, whatever. Speaking of adopting children, Dougie Milford goes through some trouble, or Dwayne Milford rather goes through some troubles.
Goes through an arc, a complete arc.
Remember when he completely hated Lana. His Lana? Get that? That's Archer. He hated her, and he said she needs to be killed. She's a witch. She's a temptress, and they are like me when I try to solve basic problems with people, where I'm like, can we just sit and talk about it? And they're like, can we just he literally like brandishes
he says,
I don't want to talk, I want to shoot.
Badass. Brandishes a gun at the police station, but he's the mayor, so he can't get arrested.
Right, I didn't even think about that.
So weird that he brandishes a gun and they're like, bad, don't do that. And they're like, we're going to take the gun away and we're going to put you and Lana in a room together. And we're going to close the door. And this is, I think, part of the thing that Ryan and I were remembering, where it's like people giggling at a door.
Yeah.
Instead of him getting his bones brained out or whatever, his brains boned out, and he just talks to Lana. We don't see what happens, but all the other characters put their ears against the door and they don't know what's going on. And they open the door and he's covered in smooches. She's sitting on his lap and he says,
we decided to adopt a child.
The best version of his laugh, the purest version. He's like, now it's not even like the laugh is just funny by itself. It's like, this is a realistic place when someone would laugh. It's so good. They're gonna adopt a child. She's magic. She's a witch. She's a sorceress.
Yeah.
And she will strike again. When will she strike on me?
And it's awesome. It's pretty fun.
It's awesome and good. And Cooper buttons the scene by saying, "Is it hot in here?" And someone else is like, "Yeah."
I also like that before Dwayne shows up, she's gonna go. Jacoby says,
"Well, I could never have done it without Dr. Jacoby."
Okay. Well then, we're gonna go bowling.
See you later, guys.
Like,
the beat after they walk away was me in my head going, does he mean like playing with balls? Like, what's the gag here? Why'd they say going bowling?
I think they're literally gonna go bowling. They're gonna.
No,
go
I know
bowling.
they're literally, but like, why did they write that? Like, why did the writers say like?
It's like weird. It's like, okay.
Have
Sure.
fun. Good luck.
Yeah, I was entertained. This was my favorite plot of the episode because it was just complete goofball territory, no groundedness. It's just this lady has magic powers and all the guys are like, wow. And, yeah. It did. I will say, you have to turn your brain off for this part of Twin Peaks, because if you try to put this in the same show as the other parts of the show, you start to think a little bit too much about Dr. Jacoby and how he keeps having relationships with the people that he's counseling. And then you're like, oh yeah, Laura Palmer.
Why does he stay in Twin Peaks? Like, what was the intent? What's he trying to do with his degree? Is he like, yeah, it does not hold up to scrutiny, which is what we're here to do. The other plotline that I don't want to talk about, but I do mention because it features my favorite couple of lines in the episode, is the Thomas Eckhart, Pete Martell, Catherine stuff.
Never would have guessed that was what you were about to say.
I know, and I didn't expect it either. I was like checked out of this episode here. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care about Thomas Eckhart. I don't care. And then Pete Martell like pulls the camera towards him and says, "No, wait. Don't cut away yet. We're not done being funny. We can still be funny here." I'm hoping to God you clip this. Yes.
Hot dogs. Forgot the hot dogs.
Pete! We forgot the weenies. All beef with the skin on.
You can't make up Twin Peaks.
All beef with the skin on. I like that it's preceded by this out of the blue dramatic quick cuts between these like shots of totem poles with classical music underneath them, and you're like, hold on, what is this tone? This is like a mix of visuals and music that are not typical for Twin Peaks, where every song has been played 10 times before. And then Pete Martell is like, the weenies, the beef with the skin on,
With like beautiful classical music. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I love this.
Piper Laurie is really trapped in the worst plot of this show. If she could have just been in like something good, that would have been really fun.
She's too good for this show. It's the real thing. But she still brings a good energy to this plot.
Yeah.
Herself.
It's just the stupidest plot, in my opinion.
To me.
To me, James' plot included. This is stupider.
Whoa.
I'm not afraid to say it.
Wow, say it with your chest, you fuck boy. Tell me why you don't like the best plot in this episode. Tell me talk about James. Talk about James. Donna's here. Oh.
You don't want to say any more about the Eckhart stuff, the Josie, the Pete's meeting, or re-seeing what's his face, Andrew?
Josie's still enslaved as a maid. Thomas Eckhart
comes to town.
Comes to town.
Is here now.
Is
and it's
here.
Like the most boring looking white guy I've ever seen.
The second episode makes him cool, but that's because of the directing. That's not on the actor at all.
Yeah.
Andrew Packard is back. Pete is like, "Oh my God, Andrew, you're back. I'm so happy you're back." And he's like, "Are you?"
I really like the way Jack Nance plays this, where they're like, "Yeah, we didn't tell you because we didn't think you need to know," and he's like, okay, like fuck you guys, whatever." Yeah. He's like so annoyed. It's pretty amusing.
Yeah. I could have just known. I'm not like a bad guy. I just fish, and there's fish in my percolator. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's really what I have. I don't.
Yeah, let's stop talking about it. It's not worth any more time.
No, it's not.
The James plot, I don't actually have anything to say about it. I mean, it's just
in this episode, at least.
Yeah, like it's just there was one really sloppy cut that I was like, oh, I don't usually see a cut that sloppy in TV, which was when James meets, what was Evelyn's husband's name?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. He meets Jeffrey and they go to shake hands and put their arms down, and then it cuts to a different shot and their arms are back up in the air, and then they put their arms down.
I know what you're talking about.
It's like, guys, that's like, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of dorky lines where Jeffrey's like, I hear we have a mutual love. Cards.
That actually wasn't my hardest laugh of this plot line. You know what was my hardest laugh of this plot line, bud?
What's that?
It's when Jeffrey drives away and he's like, I can't wait to take her out on the open road. I'll talk to you later. We can talk about our mutual love. ... Of cars, not my wife.
Yeah.
And then he drives away and we focus on Evelyn and you hear a car accident suggesting that she dreams about her husband's car crash. If this was like a Simpsons bit, it would be like in the sound in her head, he would go, "Oh, a pothole! Oh no!" And then you hear like explosion. He's like, "What could have happened?" What about my wife Evelyn? Yeah, I just also like the casting of Jeffrey, where he's like the most generic, like, "Hey, what's up? I'm a shitty
like
guy,
an affable guy."
Yeah, exactly. He's got a tracksuit on. It's like a Michael Jordan or I forget what brand that is. It's got like a fun tracksuit.
Yeah. But this whole plot is just you yelling at the TV like, James, go home.
James, just leave.
You should not be here, bud. Get out of here. And then they put the frame on him, and it's like maybe Evelyn cares about him a little because she tells him to run away. Whatever. We can talk. There's a lot more going on in this plot in the next episode, so we can just. Well, Midge,
you can't tell me you didn't pop off when Donna arrives in this plot to pick up her man.
Donna's like, I demand to be in this plot.
Get me in there. I'm here at Hideout Wally's, the only set we have. It's the outside of Evelyn's house and Hideout Wally's. And Evelyn's conveniently also there. And then they play the song that they played, the Double R. That sounds like an old like folksy tune. And then
right.
They cut to her thinking about James, and Just You and I starts playing again.
So good.
So good.
So good.
Is it the best song in Twin Peaks?
Yeah, it's the best song in Twin Peaks.
Okay.
Well, no. Okay, here's the best song in Twin Peaks. When Doc Hayward is scolding Andy and Dick Tremaine, a version of the Twin Peaks theme plays with different instrumentation, and it sounds like a lullaby version, like it was made by... Are you familiar with Rockabye Baby?
The song?
No, Rockabye Baby is like I don't know who's behind it, but you can go on Spotify and they make lullaby versions of like popular songs. And I definitely did take a nap the other day listening to the Rockabye Baby Journey album that came out recently. Check it out.
That sounds really sick. Yeah, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, the Journey songs translate really well to lullaby music, but that was my favorite music drop, was when they were like, let's just re-record the Twin Peaks theme but use like bum bum dum bum bum dum bum 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 bum.
Oh my god, they did like a Bohemian Rhapsody. They did Yellow by Coldplay. All right, I'll be back.
Their best song is The Scientist.
Oh my god, already a like melancholy song you can fall asleep to.
Also, just Charlie and I rewatched the Fix You scene from the newsroom. We don't have the time or space to talk about it, but people should go rewatch that. That scene is.
If you're like, wait, was the newsroom was bad, right? Just go watch the Fix You scene and remember what it means to love bad things again.
Yeah, it has big Wyndham Earl energy. Let's put it that way.
Whoa, that's big of you. Yeah, that's all I have.
I just want to say two quick things. There's more of the Ben Horn Civil War stuff, and it's like this. It's the same. I have the same issues with it that I had last time, but even more exaggerated, because now Jacoby's like, see, he's using the Civil War to get out of his psychosis. If he just like believes that the South won, then he'll get over his failure or whatever.
Yeah, I like that you solved that like last week, and then the show is like, here's what it is. They just do it for you.
And it's just like, it gets more and more extreme, the ways that this plot just kind of like does the thing that I said last time, where it like does not discuss the Confederate, like the inherent evils of the Confederacy as a project in any way whatsoever, and only engages with the iconography of the Confederacy as like this sort of nostalgic bit of Americana. And it's really, really frustrating, but it was that last time, so I don't have anything new to say about it. But anyway,
Major Breaks disappears.
Oh yeah,
he goes in
and then he was like, the Air Force is bad, actually.
Yeah, I think this is the last time we see Major Briggs.
No,
really?
I'm saying no.
Oh, no, like you're bummed. Not no, you're disagreeing with me.
Did he die before the
No,
return?
I might be wrong. In fact, now I'm looking. Huh?
Did he die before the return?
You're asking if he... I can't tell you.
Right.
That's me bopping you on the head with a newspaper. He's not done in season 2 yet. Okay. Great, but he basically is like, I'm gonna go to the shadows. The government's bad, actually, and they don't want me to find the White Lodge. There's a big trouble.
Yeah, but he thinks he was at the White Lodge.
Yeah,
I have one more thing from this episode that I wanted to talk about briefly.
Okay.
I have this clip. Ed and Doc Hayward talk about Nadine, and it's the worst.
Nadine wants to start dating boys. I don't know what to say.
Is she sexually active?
Active? Doc, I wake up every morning feeling like I've been hit by a timber truck.
Is she extra adrenaline?
Well, it's downright dangerous. And she's liable to kill a young kid. I don't know what to say.
Be patient. And, tell her to be home by 9 o'clock on school nights.
Yeah.
Doc Hayward, you are a medical professional. You have a responsibility here to do no harm. Like, this is terrible. He's like, Ed's basically like, yeah, she really fucks me hard every morning. And Doc Hayward is like, nice, dude. Nice.
That's sick.
Yeah, your wife thinks she's a teenager and you have a lot of sex. That's so cool, man. I love it. And then Norma walks up and it's like, I got you potatoes. And Ed's like, oh, hey, Norma. And Doc Hayward gives him this look of like, nice. You're having an affair. Yes, dude. It's like, who are you, Doc Hayward? Come
Doc Hayward
on,
also
bud.
he also tells Andy and Dick to shut up when he's explaining Little Nicky to them. He literally is like, shut up, boys. And it's like, Doc Hayward, you're so
this
mean.
episode finally, Doc Hayward has finally joined the trash men patriarchy of Twin Peaks in this episode fully and completely.
Stay tuned on our Patreon for the Men of Twin Peaks tier list. Trash men. Not actually.
Yeah, no, everybody's F tier.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
Except
it
Andy.
sucked, and like we're too deep in the Nadine teenager plot at this point. Like it was fun when it was just like,
I have nothing left to say about it. We've had so much discourse on this podcast about Nadine.
they're just getting. Here's my issue. I'm trying to like say a new point, and I think my new point is like plots like this really lose their sheen when you have to figure out the practicalities of them.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of fun. Oh, Nadine thinks she's a teenager and she has super strength and she goes to cheerleading tryouts and the wrestling tryouts. Great. That's it. There's nothing else you can get from this plot because if you go any further, you need to answer questions.
Yeah.
And every one of those questions has an answer that I do not like.
Yeah.
So stop it. I'm done with this.
The show is not. I regret to inform you, the show is not done with this.
No.
Next
they're
episode takes the hinge off of it. It's Lucas with the lid off, baby.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Anyway, that's what I got on this one.
All right, groovy. My sister just came by earlier before in pre-pod, and she was like, "Why do you say groovy?" She goes, "Huh, groovy," and I was like, "This is a Magellanism that I've accidentally adopted."
Oh,
Groovy.
John,
we'll be right back after a groovy musical break to discuss slaves and masters with a guest. Back to PeaksChatz. Thanks for joining us again. I'm still Alan, and that's still Magellan. Hi, Magellan.
Hey.
Magellan, We're talking about more Twin Peaks, and specifically for this episode, we are joined by a guest who has turned all of his Christmases into a week full of Mondays. It's Nick of the Brothers at Infinite War.
Thanks, guys, for having me back, and I'm not 100% sure what that means.
Yeah.
Garfield would say it's a bad thing, but I guess we'll find out.
And Gazorpazorfield from Rick and Morty would say, I hate Manums Days. I don't particularly love Rick and Morty, but that's my favorite joke from the whole show.
Gazorpazorfield always makes me die.
It's so good. Oh, God damn it. So sorry. I saw a guy wearing a hat that just said, it's time to get swifty. And I was like, hold on, ironic or serious? Ironic or serious? Which one makes me angrier? And then my
serious.
brain started.
It's definitely, if you see anything that's Rick and Morty out there in the world, it's serious.
Anyways, Nick, you've talked about Twin Peaks before. You've been on the podcast before. You're a good friend of the pod, and we love to have you here. Thank you. Specifically in this episode that we are discussing, it's called Slaves and Masters. It was written by Harley Payton and Robert Engels, and it was directed by, get this, the one and only Diane Keaton herself. Yes, I confirmed with my co-producers that is the Diane Keaton directing a single episode and no other episode of Twin Peaks.
Yep.
I saw that, and I thought, I can't beat that, Diane Keaton.
I know.
Like it's got to be like but her SAG name is Diane A. Keaton.
Yeah.
Versus,
right.
whatever the other Diane Keaton is. Something like that. But yeah, okay, good to know, because I did notice that now. It was, maybe. Does she direct other things? Or is
No.
just
Well, she directs other things.
A lot of directing
Okay, so
credits.
she is a director in general.
Occasionally, yeah.
Yeah.
This episode aired February 9th, 1991. And Magellan, before we get into our discussion, can you tell us what happened in Slaves and Masters, please?
In this episode, the police look for James in the Marsh murder. Bobby and Shelley tell Truman that Leo escaped, and Bobby reveals that he saw Hank shoot Leo the night the mill burned. Albert returns to Twin Peaks with information on Wyndham Earl.
Oh, Nick, we had you on for a weird episode of the show. What did you think of it?
Yeah, and did you choose this one or and why?
Yeah, the reasons that I chose it were kind of because it was okay, I gotta pick a season 2 episode. Okay, well, okay, how about this one? Alan, sorry, that was already taken. And how about this one? Oh, sorry, that one's already taken. Like it's a guest filled season. It's fantastic. So I'm happy to take any of them. These were all new to me, so I didn't have a lot to go on. I enjoyed it.
Further development of the Wyndham Earl storyline, the weird twists of the Malcolm, Evelyn, James storyline, some Italian opera, Ed and Norma going full romantic tragedy, I guess. And then the Ben Horn plot goes even further off the deep end. Basically, everything that we talked about a minute ago just doubles down. Triples down.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about how Cooper, when he talks about Caroline, they see like a black and white overlaid photo of her and she kind of looks like Evelyn? And I got kind of worried. I was like, is she Evelyn?
We didn't talk about that, but that happened in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
That was a choice. There was a lot of overlaying images in this one as well, which is why are we doing that?
Doubles. Oh, it's not double. This one's not double play. It's the slaves and their masters.
Uh-huh. I think I want to start with the direction and talking about Diane Keaton directing this one, because I am like challenging myself on some things I said earlier in this season. I think there are parts in Arbitrary Law where we were sort of criticizing like how overt the direction was and these like very visible choices. Mm-mm. And then in this episode, there were also like really visible choices, but I liked them more. And I think it's just
there's nothing that was like distracting, and then I went, why? It was just I just enjoyed it. Like that's I guess the mark of the good direction, where nothing was bothering me, I guess, in the simple sense, or I just wasn't noticing it.
Yeah, and it just got me thinking about two things. About, first of all, like there isn't the sort of truism of directing where you want the director to disappear. Like sometimes you don't, I guess. It's just whatever produces something that's good. And the other thing that it got me thinking about is the benefit of bringing in someone who like is outside of the usual stable of people who work on the show and has a strong eye and a strong vision for what they want. And, Diane Keaton in 1990 or 91 or whatever, I'm sure is established enough in Hollywood that she's like, I'm going to make the choices I want to make. And I feel confident doing that. And it ends up yielding an episode where like the camera just sees things in ways that it has never seen things in Twin Peaks before. And it was really cool. Like the beginning where it's this montage of shots of the chessboard at the level of the chessboard and it's kind of claustrophobic was cool. The part at the bar where it's like the 5 cops smoking their cigars or whatever.
Awesome.
And like the 3 cops leaving the mansion, like marching directly behind one another, cutting from the synchronized cops to the chessboard to be like their chess pieces. Like, okay, you're blowing my mind. The chess stuff is good now. It sucked, but now Diane Keaton made it good.
Was it that said on a previous guest that quoted somebody who was a director saying,
That was Michelle.
It was. Okay. Yeah, but yes, they brought the people in that they wanted to have a different voice. It's not like the person who does the pilot defines the look of the show and every other director is a director for hire who just has to imitate that.
Right.
Obviously, there's some stuff that is similar. But yes, it definitely does seem like episode, you will get a taste of different directors. So that's nice. Good or bad?
I think especially in season 2, we've been seeing directors who are not to the same extent doing new stuff. Like this episode feels really novel because it's been a while since we've had someone who like makes this bold of an artistic statement. Maybe the last time was like was Lonely Souls, maybe when David Lynch was directing. Like I can't think of an episode since then where, or at moments of arbitrary law, like with the sprinklers and stuff. And then there's silly stuff too.
Donna's Lips.
But yeah, this was like the first time in a while that it really feels like a director sort of took the license to like do something with this. And I think it helps to mask plot moments that are like pretty ridiculous and like make them a little bit better. Like the fact that this episode, the camera like looks at Josie Packard and Evelyn Marsh in a way where it like makes them the center of their respective plots and connects them through like the red nail motif and like says something about what's going on with them. Yeah, cool. I did not expect to be invested in either of them in their plots, and I was a little bit. And I think like by far it was the role of the direction that made me feel that way.
I thought what made this episode really funny is that the directing is treating it like this very serious, grim, like sexual drama through multiple plot lines.
Mm-hmm.
But the plot lines, it'll like my favorite one was when it's Ed and Norma in the bed and it's like zoomed in on their naked like upper bodies. I'm like, this is like beautiful. Like this is so thoughtful. And it zooms out and it's like, oh no, wait, this is a Nadine plot. She's gonna like jump into bed with it. Like,
yeah.
It's not that deep.
Nadine coming in like a loaded weapon. You're like, what is she gonna do?
What's this? She's gonna yell at someone.
Yeah.
No, doesn't she bend the head on her trophy or something?
Yeah. She's like, I'm fine. I love this.
She says this line, which is great.
I am completely cool about all of this. Really?
She's bringing like layers to this performance that are not on the page. Like,
yeah.
The way that she delivers that was just so good and also like meme worthy. That's like a reaction gif waiting to happen right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching it and I'm going like, how long is he gonna drag out this whole Nadine thing? Like, I both like it and then at the same time, what's going on? Like, it's still pretty bonkers, right? But at the same time, I'm happy because now we're seeing more Ed and Norma as like, okay, finally we got that plot back. So I kind of forgave it a little bit because now we're pivoting, we're getting that. It wasn't just only the Norma Hank stuff to
Yeah.
make it crazy. I'm happy about that part more so, just to see
Yeah.
them again.
Can we talk about the Ed Norma thing for a second? I talked in the first half about how it feels like they're kind of rehashing season 1 Ed and Norma, and I'm just curious what you both think about this. Like, is there something tangibly new about what's going on with Ed and Norma? Is the point that they're kind of reiterating where they were before, or,
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's new. I'm just happy that they're bringing it back, hoping that there's going to be something new to come. Like, it's almost like a forgotten plot point that they look like, oh, hey, here it is. It's back again. The soft reboot style, I guess.
Right.
I think what the show wants us to think is that this is a romance that the plot of the show is pulling us away from. And it's like, if we could just have time to ourselves, if we could just be in real life instead of be in this chaotic TV show, then we could have this relationship. And every time they start to have it, the show intersects, whether it's Nadine coming into the bedroom or Hank coming into the bedroom. It's like, the show life keeps getting in the dang way. And it's just still getting in the way. But I agree, it doesn't really feel like this is new territory. I did think it was really fascinating to Nadine's response. I thought that was super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
Nadine,
she wants to bang the high schooler, so she's got to play cool.
yeah, she comes into the room after they're naked. They're post love making and everything, and they're like, "We're finally gonna do it. We're gonna go get a cabin." And then he's like, "We're gonna confront Nadine right now. Here she comes." Like you said, like a loaded weapon or like a bat out of hell. She's like, "What's up? Shit." And she just is like, I love Mike. Things are really serious. And I'm not gonna say anything about it, but I know what you guys are doing. And they're literally naked in front of her, and she's like, I know what it's going on between you two. She's really clever. And they're like, and she's like, I'm okay with it, honestly. Walks right by him and then walks into bed with them. She's just, it's fascinating how she becomes an adult here. It's, Ben snaps out of his quote unquote psychosis. And Nadine, in a way, even though she isn't fully out of it, is kind of like, oh, as an adult, I would just either leave you, which is the other normal thing to do, and go live my own life, or just say okay, maybe you guys are just in a relationship and I'm in one. And in her sort of view of the world, this is normal. She's with Mike and they're together. But that's obviously not the reality of the world. So there's still a sadness to the Nadine plotline, but in the scope of Ed, Norma, and Nadine, everything's fine. Temporarily. But what about Mike? What about Mike? What does Mike want out of this?
Yeah, I think it does feel like yes, we might get a little bit of, again, I haven't seen the other episode, so I'm just speculating, but we might get a little bit more Ed and Norma, but only up until the point that Nadine snaps out of it, presumably. Enjoy it while you can before, because when she gets her memories back, is she going to remember her life as a teenager, part 2? I don't know.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess that's
also,
to be seen. Or we'll just get none of it and it'll be unresolved and then I'll hate it.
Yeah, what? Right. That would never happen. Well, I think the other thing is just that we've confirmed that Hank is going back to jail for the murder or for the assault on Leo and also breaking his parole. So Truman is there's another just beautiful shots across the board, but it's a shot where he pulls Norma aside and they're behind a door, a closed door. And you can see through the door. We're not in the door, but we're through it, and we can hear them talking. And he's like, "Yeah, between all the different cases against him, Hank is just gonna be in jail forever. Go do whatever you want." And they're so close. They're in intimate touching range. It's very personal.
That's the shot that really got me thinking about that, and the fact that Truman is playing darts in his office. Both of those things got me thinking about the effect that it has when someone with fresh eyes comes to your set and can kind of walk around and be like, "Oh, anybody ever do anything with this door?" And everyone's like, "No, why didn't we think of doing that? Sure, use the door." And it's such a cool shot.
I am a mix of emotion because just on the topic of directing, because if you really, it's so easy to take it for granted what a director does, and then you see a shot where it is, oh, that is a complicated arrangement. They had to come up with that thought process. They have the people that work for them so they can get it all put together, and then have enough vision, I guess, to know how it will look to try it even in the first place, right? And then there's the other side of it, which is the pretentious director, and you kind of go, okay, how far to go before they seem like too artsy, you're trying to be too clever, and you brought too much attention to yourself. So there's that fine line in the middle. And yeah, like I said, the episode had a lot of those really great shots, but she never tipped over that line where I said, come on, okay, I know you're trying to do something different for the sake of different, and it just comes across as pretentious or whatever.
Exactly. Well, it's somebody's like first directing job. Here's a fascinating piece of trivia I found on the wiki. Diane Keaton, who at the time wanted to learn more about directing, recalls that she didn't have much contact with David Lynch regarding the episode, and that he told her to, quote, do whatever you want, and said, quote, he said, heh, goodbye. Here, you have any ideas? Do it.
That wasn't I expected more of a David Lynch impression there, Alan. I'm kind of. Can you take it again? Can you do that again?
Do whatever you want. You have any ideas? Do it.
Okay, the second half got better.
Yeah, it's a little bit military man there.
I put you on the spot to throw that.
Get
next
real.
Next time.
Get real.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Where's the applause? I started doing it myself. Applause here in my sound booth. Yeah, there you go. So next time it'll be Magellan's turn, and then I'll run away if someone asks me to do it.
The person who does the best David Lynch impression, though, is Miguel Ferrer in this one when Albert returns.
Good. So freaking good. I pumped my fist, dude. I was jazzed.
I didn't check, but I was like, wow, what is he in the room? What? I thought he was just like gonna suddenly be out of frame, and then suddenly he pops in. You're like, oh, did I miss a scene? He was there.
It sounds like
it was pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds like
My
this.
invite back to Twin Peaks. Wyndham Earl. Direct orders from Gordon Cole. As he so succinctly put it,
I'm worried about Coop.
It's so good.
Classic.
It's a dead ringer. That's a dead ringer.
Yeah. Also, the fact that for kind of no reason, like we didn't get this far the last time Albert was here, but now when Albert and Truman see each other and they hug and do like the multiple slaps on each other's backs, it's awesome. I love that.
It's a romantic hug.
Off camera, they just kind of chit chat about being Zen and the way of life, and
they call each other every week. It's sweet.
So much comedic stuff in this scene. Obviously, him hugging Harry is incredible. I love that they're friends now.
Cooper said to Harry, "If you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends." And all right, go ahead.
I was trying to think of Zigga Zigga Zig Oz, but I couldn't remember it. It took me a second to get there. Him hugging Harry is great. Him like putting out all the evidence by slapping pictures on the table, and they're all the same sound effect, like whoopsh, whoopsh, and this thing, and the chess piece. Mm-hmm. And he does the Gordon Cole impression. It's just very weirdly paced. I love it. And Albert is carrying this scene. I was so glad to see Miguel Ferrer again. Just a joy to bring him back into the series.
Is it a controversial thing to say that I think Albert is the better FBI? Like if he than Coop, because I think if he was in the lead, things would get solved a lot faster. Is it controversial to say that?
But if things got solved a lot faster, then the show would be even shorter.
Well, because I think I commented before. This is like the and especially after this is a couple episodes back, but whenever we saw Coop fail, Mr. Presumed always talked about like he's super efficient, super cop. Yeah. He's always figuring out the perfect lead and deductive reasoning and things like that. But then in the end, he's still very wrong. Before he was kind of, I want to say it fell on his lap to a degree, the actual answer.
Right.
And then part of me goes, and I see Albert come in, and he's just like, no, he's given real facts, and so I go like, if you just let him take the lead, I don't. I know there has been chat on the Discord about Coop as a character being a written differently, episode to episode, depending who's writing him. But but Albert seems to be fairly consistent, at least.
Yeah, Albert's development here is consistent with his character so far. It doesn't feel like, okay, somebody else is writing Albert. It's like, no, Albert has grown up a little bit. Albert's like, in his relationship to people like Truman has changed, and he's a consummate professional, and I love him.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it's always a treat to see him.
But anyways, in terms of the Wyndham Earl plot, here's what we know. Cooper got shot. They figure out that maybe it could be Josie. Wouldn't that be awful if it was Josie? But there was Mike Cuna on the coat on the person who shot him.
I forgot that that plot detail happened.
Yep, that got advanced a little bit. Then, bizarrely, the way we're going to catch Wyndham Earl is we realize that every time in this chess game that he's playing with Cooper that a piece gets knocked out, he kills a person. So they enlist the help of chess expert. Who do you think in the entire cast of Twin Peaks is going to be the expert at chess? Well, if your first guess was Pete Martell, then you were right. Turns out Pete's extremely good at chess and fishing. And they're like sitting in the double R, and he's like, all right, he's playing 3 chess games and he wins all 3 of them at the same time, like a badass. And he's like, yeah, I'll, true. Cooper asks him, hey, Pete, can you make me a play where I don't lose any pieces? Pete's like, sure, I'll do my best. Also, Norma in the background of the scene holding a giant ice cream cone, and that she then polishes while talking to her friend Shelley, who's finally back. There's a lot of intersecting plot lines in this episode. It's a very much a enmeshed web of narratives that have nothing to do with James and Evelyn. Yeah.
Do we want to talk about the James plot now?
Yeah. Let's do it. So a lot of things happen in the James and Evelyn plot this episode. We learn that Malcolm's basically become the evil bad man. They turned him into Bob, y'all. They do the Bob growl and do the Bob slow-mo, and it's like, you can't. This feels illegal. This feels like you're breaking an unspoken rule about Twin Peaks.
This is the thing that was strange to me about this development. It was just that the whole scam on James was predicated on selling him this idea that poor Evelyn is, the victim of this guy, Jeffrey, and he's a terrible person and he physically assaults her and all this stuff. And James really wants to buy into that romantic image of this poor woman is being victimized and I'm going to save her. And then that turns out to be what's happening, but just with this guy instead of the guy they were pretending it was with. And I don't get it. It seems like the show doesn't really know how to do a plot unless a woman is the victim of something in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Shelbyville to the Twin Peaks Springfield place just seems this is messed up. Or do we want to debate which way is which? Who's marrying their cousins?
I think this is the Shelbyville. I think the as Alan, you said in your notes, the Andy analog, not knowing how to spell Jaguar.
Yes, exactly.
That's a very Shelbyville moment.
And although we don't have the same, I did get a chuckle out of the bartender. Do you want a drink? No. He's like, are you sure? It's just a simple throwaway line. I don't know why it made me laugh. And then just to lead up with all the guys turning at the same time at the bar to say, hey, it's just that. It didn't take a lot, but it was so funny. And maybe just cutting through the rest of it, it made me laugh more than it would just in a different show. But there's a little silliness. It reminded me what I liked about Twin Peaks, those moments.
Yeah. And I think the thing about this Evelyn stuff, I, again, just want to point to the direction as what makes the good parts of this episode good. I mean, there's a lot of very histrionic stuff in the direction, constantly doing the faded overlays of Evelyn's face. Oh, she's thinking about stuff. Remember when she was thinking? That's a little dorky. But it's made clear through the way the camera looks at things that Evelyn is the main character of this plot, which just was not how it was presented in any other episode. And so even though the plot is kind of fraught and, putting Evelyn in the same position that it puts all of the women on the show at some point or another, I think more so than other moments, it's asking you to think about the kinds of questions that you were asking, Nick, of well, why is she with this guy? What is she going to do? What does she want? And that's to the credit of the direction, I think, even if at times it's this is kind of dorky. And also, why do I care? Because Evelyn is like going to be gone after this episode.
Well, because one of the things that I know the last time I was on, I commented how I liked and I knew it was going to end was the Invitation to Love segments. And those highlighted, because those were a parody of soap operas, and we're essentially watching a weird soap opera, but it's still very soap opera-y.
Yeah.
And this stuff here, it was like so soap opera-y that I was like, but you're not doing a parody, but you're doing it as bad as if it was a parody, but it doesn't feel like a parody, you know? So then I wasn't getting into it. Like, so that's where I go, like, I guess the impression I get is David Lynch kind of is I think somebody made a comment on previous episode that he kind of checked out after a certain point for the later half of the second season. Right?
Yeah.
He's fully checked out.
Why,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, why didn't they bring back Invitation to Love? Because I think I would have taken it better if I saw the parody stuff every now and then the quote unquote serious stuff, and then I can kind of go, okay, I'm getting both, and so I don't have to take it so seriously because I have the parody playing in the corner, you know, just to compare it to. So yeah, it just felt like a bad parody in the end of a soap opera, and that's just kind of, the direction was perfect. I really had no issues at all. In fact, it was very good. And now hearing first time, even better. But the writing and the story arcs just
the plot choices were kind of absurd. Yeah,
I think my last point about the Evelyn plotline before I conclude about what actually happens there is, I think Diane Keaton and company wanted to, like you said, Meg, focus on what's Evelyn's interiority like. But unfortunately, the script just doesn't call for that. So there's like a lot of shots of Evelyn, but like the story can't by nature be about Evelyn. This story is about revealing, this episode is about revealing that Malcolm was behind it all, which actually is disempowering Evelyn. So it's like the directing wants her to be the character, but it's her going, wait, I'm not the main character. No, like it just doesn't. They're completely at odds with each other. Malcolm takes control here. He says, I'm going to have you kill James. We found Donna. She's looking into this too much. We're going to kill her too, and we're going to escape and be rich together. Evelyn has a soul and realizes that James is a literal teenager that she has been horrible to, and tries to stop it, but Malcolm freaks out. She takes the gun. She shoots Malcolm in the stomach a couple times. Malcolm's done. Evelyn's probably on the run.
I think they could have saved it if they had James do a, Evelyn, why? Shout.
Why?
You know, then I would have been like, okay, yeah, then I would have been okay with it because it seemed like it deserved it.
That's fine.
Something to break the mood.
Poor Donna, by the way, like drove her family's van all the way out here,
poor girl.
Only to find out that her boyfriend has like been having this tryst with this woman, and he's like, we have to talk to Evelyn. Evelyn will understand. And Donna's like, why do you think that? And she's giving him this look like, you had sex with her, didn't you? And James is like, I just think that, I don't know. Just like a bad, and then Donna witnesses a guy get shot. Just a bad day for Donna.
Yeah. Take the van, go home. What's the conversation on the van ride back with James like?
Right. Oh,
like,
man.
Well,
I will give credit to Donna because she came in very brave. She just straight, no, don't shoot James. She's like protecting him and stuff like that. Literally, two people she doesn't know with a gun, and she's just right away. She's just trying to protect them. So I'll give her credit that she didn't like try to do like a slow like give me the gun, you know, trying to get it closer. She just ran in like without hesitation. So credit for that.
True, very true.
And then we got the. That's the what you say moment of the episode.
Oh, about shooting Malcolm in the tummy.
Yeah, it's like if I've already used that up for chats, but if I hadn't, it would have been perfect.
Oh man! If that was the music drop, I wanna see that edit now, where it's that song in this scene.
You know, you just gave me work to do, and I'm going to do it, right?
And then the music fades, and we still get Evelyn, reciting her speech to the cops. That was such like a, I don't know, a stagey moment of her like flipping over so that she could be in view of the camera while she's like, he came at me, whatever. Like it was very contrived, but it I don't know. It like made sense with the tone. It was just like
because she parrots what
what
he said you're
yeah.
going to say before,
Right.
which made me laugh because he says, and you shot him till he was dead. And I'm thinking, as opposed to when you shoot him to be something
Not
else.
kill him?
Yeah. Like, no, you shoot him to make him dead, not just. Wow.
But the James plotline is seeing its sunset finally, and hopefully he comes back to Twin Peaks with Donna, and they can have a happy life together, and nothing will go wrong from here.
Until 6 months later, that James does another road trip and gets into another crazy adventure.
How funny would that be if it was just like, oh, James is off on another one. What is it this time? Well, there was an African prince.
Because Ed made it sound like that's just what he does. He goes off and he has these little side adventures. It's the adventures of James. I don't know what to call it.
So we have three little plot lines left. We have more Josie Pete stuff, which can be brief. That also incorporates the full introduction of Thomas Eckhart. We have Ben Horn, and we have Wyndham Earle.
Oh man, none of the above. I don't know, Nick. What do you want to talk about?
I'm gonna just quickly say that I am intrigued with the Wyndham Earle stuff.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy it or not, but I'm intrigued by it. Wyndham Earle, just the name itself. I don't know why. I think that's a really good character name for the bad guy. I don't know why. I don't know why it is. It's just I don't think that's a name I will ever hear, but it doesn't sound like it's a totally made up. Wyndham's probably a name. I don't think I've heard it, but sure. And then Earl.
It's funny because it kind of is in the same family as Thomas Eckhart, but it's a way better name
than Thomas Eckhart. Yeah.
Eckhart's a B plus, but Wyndham Earle's A plus naming. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what in itself.
We're gonna dig, and as we see more Wyndham Earle, we're gonna dig even deeper, boys. But what if Wyndham Earle is another version of like Bob is a spear? Wyndham Earle is like what happens if Bob is a person, like just pure calculating evil, not the like physical jumping, yelling abuse part, but the like, I just want to see people suffer. Like the way he hurts Leo in this episode is played for comedy, but is really messed up. I mean, he's captured the guy. He's electrocuting him. He's beating him with a cudgel. Explains the history of this cudgel / flute thing. It's just awful to Leo, and like torturing him basically. And it's like, where does the cruelty end? What is the intent of his cruelty? I find it like vaguely appealing, even though like I know I shouldn't like this. I don't know why I like this.
Is he like trying to like torture him out of his kind of Frankenstein-like state? Is that the idea? Like,
he's trying to make him right. Yeah,
because he's trying to teach him to write. Like, I don't know if when you saw like Young Frankenstein, and it's just like it's a less comedic version of him like teaching to not be a savage.
I mean, I think the moment where he is trying to teach Leo to write and shocks him, and then gives him like whatever that was, a cookie or a beignet or something, and then Leo's like, Wyndham Earle, like he's trying to make Leo his, slaves and masters, like,
in his pawn chess,
in his pawn. And so it's this really twisted like process of breaking Leo and instilling Stockholm syndrome in order to make him like, willing to do whatever Wyndham Earle asks him to do. And it's like a horrifying thing to watch. And I think the only reason that it's intriguing because it's so new, and the guy playing Wyndham Earle is committing 110% to everything that he does. Like, he's really selling it. And I think the only reason we can sort of bear to watch it for long enough for the plot to grab us is because it's Leo Johnson, and
part of us wants to see him be hurt or feel punishment for what he's done.
Yeah. And that's like a hard thing to sit with and like acknowledge, but that is like at play here.
That's why this is funny. That's why it's funny that he's like, ba-bonk, I'm going to bonk you with the thing. Right. It's because Leo is an easy character to hate. The show does not want you to like him at all. He never gets, other than like goodbye wife, however you want to debate that line. There's not really moments where it's like, I like Leo or I care about him. Like, no, you're not supposed to.
I think also like when Wyndham Earle's trying to get Leo to write or whatever, it really looked like the guy playing Leo was about to bust out laughing. Like he was really trying hard not to laugh. It was interesting to me.
So as a bit of casting trivia in a tangential to Chat's way, I'm not sure if I mentioned before, but it was Jacques Renault, which is Michael Parks, and the guy who plays Leo were both in. I don't want to say either the pilot or the second episode of Sequest, and I just was so like, okay, and also the priest minister who officiates the wedding a few episodes back, and also the funerals. He's like the chief petty officer on Sequest.
I remember seeing Leo on that. I totally remember seeing Eric Durant. I think I commented on that in the pilot chats. Yes.
I think, but because at that point you had seen Leo recently, but you would not have recognized Michael Parks, I think, because it had worked on second season yet. Right. But yeah, just how many times Sequest or other shows where you just have so many people just of that era show up and there's like a mini reunion, like, oh, how did you get this job? I was on Twin Peaks. Oh, me too. Like,
right.
Not say they coasted, but I'm sure that this became the thing that helped them to spring into other stuff to a degree.
Yeah, it's again, I've said it before. It's always fascinating that like Twin Peaks exists in the same TV environment as stuff like.
Oh, sorry, I'm just seeing a picture. I'm looking at a picture of him on Sequest. Leo Johnson.
Yeah. He was in the first one. He was like with the bad guy, I think, right?
Oh, the bad guy is Jean Reno.
Oh, all right, we figured it out.
I think because Michael Parks is not doing a French Canadian accent. That you don't recognize.
I think he's like German in that or something.
God, I hope he's in The Return. No, I don't. I also don't think Michael.
He's dead.
He's still alive.
Oh, he could live.
When did he die? Not too long ago. He was live to some degree.
His character died.
Oh, the character. Okay. Yeah.
The actor did also die. That's true. Unfortunate. I love Jean Reno. See, this show's giving me brainworms, dog. Get me out of here. Nick, how did you... Okay, we have a question that we were talking about between pods. Thomas Eckhart, he has an assistant. He speaks to her in Afrikaans, which is the language spoken in South Africa. So we know that she must be South African. Is Thomas Eckhart supposed to be South African also?
I mean, I guess so, because I don't think it's spoken anywhere else. I've met some people who are from South Africa and they speak it, but it's like it's not really in other countries, I don't think so. And he must be. But admittingly, most of the time when I've seen actors who are South African and stuff like that, like their accent to a North American ear has a British receded recessed R kind of pronunciation or whatever it's called. So like, although what's his name? What's the actor's name playing Eckhart?
David Warner.
Sure
super famous, by the way.
No, I know him for like tons of stuff, and he's been in Star Trek plenty of times. But I don't think he's South African though. I think he's from somewhere else.
No, he's British. David Warner is British. David Warner, who plays Thomas Eckhart, is in Star Trek. He's in Tron. He's in Titanic. He's in everything, and he's in The Omen. Great movie.
And he was in the Grail episode of Babylon 5.
Wait, was he the guy? Oh, he totally
He was the guy.
Fuck. The guy. Oh, everyone go watch Babylon 5 if you haven't, please. It's good. Anyways, so Thomas Eckhart's here. He's got an assistant. He's coming in. But the last thing we didn't say about the Wyndham Earl plot is that he asks Leo, part of the manipulation is like, hey, what girl are you? He's really bad. And we don't hear what he says, but then later he goes to the Great Northern. He's disguised. He has on like a black wig and stuff, or he colors his hair black, walks right by Cooper, who's thinking about Caroline, coincidentally. He has a picture of Caroline in his wallet, which is weird because she's not his wife, but I get it. Earl walks by him and is probably going to capture Audrey, as we understand it, because he like says to leave a letter for Audrey Horne, which ties into the ending where Cooper looks at a mask on his bed and it's Caroline's face, and it has a recorder under it where once again Wyndham Earl is like, "Your move."
But again, coming back to the directing, like that was very well done with the reveal of the mask, just the lighting of it and stuff like
it's
that.
Good.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
there's like a light under it.
And the ending shot where it's like looking at Cooper through the mask. From the mask perspective. Yeah, it's cool.
It's very fun. Last thing, Ben Horne. A lot of people think that this is the worst episode of Twin Peaks of all time. I think that's unfair. I think you're really discounting the directing if you're saying that. It's at least entertaining throughout. The Ben Horne stuff is turbo stupid now, though.
I know there's a lot of people, it used to be like, it's just the people in that area, they like to reenact the Civil War. That's just what they do. There's no harm in it now. But nowadays, you should never, ever even get close to getting to that point, any of that stuff now. It's just
Well,
it's bad taste now when it
Yeah.
wasn't even good before.
Well, and I think specifically, and this is something that I didn't remember from when I first watched, but specifically that what Ben Horn is doing is not reenacting the Civil War, but reimagining it. And
Yep.
like how that is like this really fraught thing. And in the previous episode, it seemed like there were moments where they were trying to imply like, you know, oh, this is so exaggerated and over the top. Clearly, this is ridiculous. And they like in the I think it was the previous episode where it's a shot of the waterfall outside the Great Northern as that audio was still happening, which to me kind of communicated like a sense of eeriness or distance from it. But then in this one, we just full on like unfurl the Confederate flag in this dramatic way and do this like slapstick moment where Jacoby's stuck behind it. And then we dress everybody up in Confederate costumes and do a Wizard of Oz thing at the end. And it's just supposed to be cute. And everybody's laughing and smiling and like, Ben Horn's back. Like, yeah, is that where we're at? Where this is just like a nice family moment for everybody? And Ben Horn is awake again? I don't know. That's what really frustrates me.
everybody commits to this. Like Jacoby, weird as it is, that professional
Except
psychologist-
Bobby's like, I thought the North won.
She hits him. I would have hit him too. Like if you were not, but you're not.
Bobby's like only just. now
We've
getting
committed
what's
this
going
far.
on.
Don't ruin this. We have one chance to get him out of whatever this is. Yeah.
Yeah.
To get the
Everybody's.
ghost away.
It is very much played as like a funny sitcom plot or something. Like, haha, he's done now. And like as soon as he signs the papers, he snaps out of it. It's like, you know, narratively perfect in that way. And he goes, where am I? And they're like, oh, yay, he's finally back. And it's like, Ben Horn, who had sex with Laurel Palmer. And we're like, yay, daddy's back. What?
Yeah, Ben Horn's sex trafficker. Like, let's
owner of
forget.
One-Eyed Jacks. Or former
Yeah.
owner of One-Eyed Jacks, I guess.
Yeah, it's just like
maybe he'll do like the, you know how computer hackers, they get caught and then after they become a consultant, you know, they can teach how to do it. Because he
Right.
lost
Becomes like
One-Eyed
Catch Me If
Jacks.
You Can
Now
or
he can be
something.
the consultant against it because he's like, oh, he had a previous career in it, so
Yeah.
now he can consult against it.
Right,
The
right,
dark,
right.
twisted version of it.
I'm into it. That's the Ben plot. Again, is there anything left to tell me about Ben in the next like 6 episodes? I don't even know.
Yeah, what I do like about the Ben Horn adjacent stuff in both episodes is the new sort of role that they're carving out for Audrey, where she's just like the Ben Horn for a new generation. Like she's doing she's running stuff, and she has this moment with Bobby in the previous episode where she's like, you know, you kiss up to me now. And Bobby's like, what about Shelly? And she's like, what about Shelly? And then in this one, Jerry's like, hey, you know, we'll just let him stay like this. And Audrey's like, well, I get all his stuff. It's in his will. So you are screwed either way. I'm in charge. That's fun to me. And that's really the only thing that is good about this.
Junior corporation run leader.
Yeah.
But is it? I think I'm happy, and this was obviously already said in previous episode. It's happy just to see her doing something other than be the damsel in distress,
Yes.
going off, pretending,
Yeah.
you know, sneaking in and joining a business of ill repute.
Yeah. Or hopping in Cooper's bed, or, you know, all that.
Yeah.
other
Oh,
stupid
like
stuff.
I know that apparently it was like, oh, Kale was didn't like the whole relationship with him and his character with the younger girl, or that young of a girl specifically, and they kind of want to get away from it. But like, I'm fine that they don't continue that. Give her something else to do. Let her be. She's now taking over the business. I'd much rather
Right.
see that. So
Right.
I'm not even upset about that part.
We are nearing the end, folks. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes of season 2 left.
Mhm.
It's going by faster than I thought.
I'm
honestly.
liking these episodes. I mean, I know this. Like, it sounds like I'm complaining a lot, but
Yay, brainworms! You got them.
like I can point to the things that I don't like, but I'm still okay. No, this is interesting. You know, like I'm happy I got
Yeah.
through it, and I'm looking forward to the stuff. But I'm still just perplexed on like, so David Lynch kind of checked out
Mhm.
but then he still did Firewalk with Me, and then he still did The Return. So it's like, which is the canonical, like, what's going on?
Yeah,
I got
right.
spoiled with JMS and Babylon 5, and I can just say, well, if he wrote it, it's canonical, and I can always trust that.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
So let's take it to the close. Magellan. Well, actually, first of all, Nick, thanks, pal. We really appreciate you being on Chats with
Yeah.
us.
Well, thank you again for having me. And I have we're going to try it, but if this is terrible, I expect you to totally cut this out of the episode.
Okay.
And maybe just pretend it didn't happen. But we're going to try it anyways.
Okay.
So what I'd like to introduce, because I've been doing the throw chats, rewatching the old episodes, sometimes for the multiple times, because I have listened to the Avatar chat spender. And there's interesting facts. And I guess what I'd like to do is, if we can do a particular quiz show to see how well do you guys know chats.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a dream come true. I'm so ready for this.
So, yeah, Magellan, if you please.
Yes, I'm guessing I see.
Let's see if we get the copyright notice on that. So, who would like to go first in the challenge here?
Honestly, fuck it. I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, I understand now.
Okay, so the first question is, and then we're going to paste it into the chat here. I did graphics that others at home are not going to get to see.
Oh,
so
boy.
in the newsroom,
Wow.
yeah, I'll share the graphics after if people want to see the bad Photoshop.
Please.
But in the newsroom, what is Jim's last name? And this one is the only one that's really specific to a specific show question. So, Alan, is it A, Harper, B, Helper, C, Halpert, or D, Henderson?
Oh, that's a good one because I know what's his face. There's the guy from The Office, but is he Harper or Halpert? I'm gonna say that Jim from the newsroom is A, Harper.
You are correct. It is A, Harper. And yes, C, Halpert was the one from The Office.
Jim from The Office.
Specifically why I picked that one, because I was like, that one might confuse them.
Yeah.
So now, the next question for Magellan.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you for the music. How many chats, shows / pilot series feature a Penn and or Teller appearance? Is it A, 1 time, B, 2 times, C, 3 times, or D, 6 times?
Yeesh. Shows and pilots?
Yes, so shows that you either covered or shows that you piloted.
That's hard. So B5 obviously has an episode where Penn and Teller appear. I think we talked about how Lois and Clark has a Penn and Teller episode. So that's at least 2.
Mm-hmm.
That
iconic episode where they're in Avatar: The Last Airbender they're real, they're live action, which is weird.
They don't appear in any other Chats shows from the main feed, right? That I can think of.
I'm not here to help you. I'm not gonna
right. That would be a lifeline, of course.
Actually, to clarify the lifelines,
okay.
The lifelines you have available are ask a friend, so you ask Alan.
Yeah.
Ask the audience, which is you can go onto the Discord if you want, and maybe someone will be online who can answer the question. Or 50-50, and I'll just tell you 2 choices to narrow it down.
Yeah, right.
Oh, man. I don't want to burn it this early, but I think I want to use that 50-50. Do we share lifelines? Or
Yeah, you share lifelines, because I don't have that many questions.
Okay, I'm just going to use the 50-50, Alan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so we're going to reduce it down to B or D. So either 2 or 6. You got to start thinking about all those pilots. You got a lot of Not so many sitcoms, but some.
I'm going to go with B2. Final answer.
You are correct.
Nice.
I was stuck between 2 and 3, so.
You know what I was hoping to trick you on, because you guys did mention when you did pilot one Scooby-Doo cartoon show, I can't remember the name now, you did say that Penn did show up in a different Scooby-Doo show, but not that one.
Right.
That's why I was hoping you're going to fall for the 3.
Right.
I guess I could have done 50-50 and given you 2 or 3, but I decided, okay,
yeah, it's a good thing we haven't piloted bullshit, because that would have
that would be screwed.
confused me.
Well, that would still count as one. It doesn't count for each episode.
Oh, okay. Well, I think of each bullshit episode as its own work of art.
Alan, you got the next one?
Ready.
Okay. The next question is, how many commentary chats have there been so far as of the time of this recording?
Released?
Is it released? Yes.
Oh.
A, 42, B, 12, C, 41, or D, 48?
Oh, I definitely know this.
Because you probably edited the episodes already.
As of this recording, how many have been released, right?
Exactly. So not necessarily because maybe you have some in the can.
Maybe there's one that might come out by the time that this releases. So really, this is a logistical question more than a memory question.
I think Nick, you're a big nerd, and it's as simple as this. You like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The answer is A42. Final answer.
Gonna lock that in, and you are correct.
Let's go, boy.
Oh, you guys, you know chats. You know chats. You're excellent.
I don't know if that's a badge of honor to know all the pieces about your own show.
Ooh, sorry, I read ahead.
What day of Chatmas was the Bowcast?
Whoa.
A 9, B 10, C 11, or D 12. And this is perfect because I'm going to assume that you're the one who edited that one.
We split the edit actually, and
on the Bowcast.
On the Bowcast, yeah. And because Alan edited the bows from the main feed episodes, and I edited the ones from the Patreon episodes, fun fact, and then they got stitched together. And I think I can actually math this one out because the Bowcast was released on January 1st as a sort of like, we're starting the year. This is how we start the shows. So the first day of Chatsmas would be Christmas, right? That stands to reason. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and then, that gives me 8. Which makes me question if you are basing this off of the episode number of Chat Snacks.
Yes.
Which would make it C11.
If you're not a patron, by the way, I'm so sorry. None of this makes any sense to you at all. But that's what you get. You gotta be, oh, baby.
Yes, you are correct again. If you guys get through this, and you've used very little lifelines too, because, but I thought I could at least stump you on something, but you got it right either way. So that counts double points. Sorry, Alan. Magellan's in the lead.
Damn it.
Yes.
Okay. So now on to Alan for the next one. How many guest appearances, not unique individuals, have been on Chats?
Whoa.
The main feed.
What the fuck, kid?
And I say again, as of this recording, not including
unique
the picture.
Individuals.
So we're just talking like if I'm on multiple episodes, that's each time. What's your guess?
How many?
So
how many times has there been in a guest episode? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it A 32, B 42, C 51, D 61.
Oof.
I mean, bro, this is so easy. I can just go to the chat feed and search FT dot.
Hold on, let me just count real quick.
It just search featuring. This number is gonna make me happy regardless of what it is, because it'll make me very proud of our work. What lifelines do we have left?
Ask the audience, which is on the Discord.
Discord, yeah.
And
Or
me.
ask a friend. Ask Magellan if he thinks he knows. But you can't ask him, do you know, and then ask him, because if you ask him if he knows, that counts as a question.
Right, you've called me on the phone in the parlance of the show.
I don't think we need to burn a lifeline for this one, because if I ask the Discord, no one's gonna know. And if I ask Magellan, he's not gonna know. But he might be able to give me like a lot.
I will let you know that there's only one more question.
Okay, then we might as well. Fuck it, I'll ask Magellan. Ring, 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 ring. Hey, Magellan.
Hey, what's up?
Not much, man. I'm on a game show right now. I'm calling you from the plane. It's crazy.
Oh, nice, cool.
So I'm on Who Wants to Be a Chatzillionaire, and it's here. I'm here with Nick, and I have a question here for you.
Okay.
You guys don't know how much Millionaire I've watched that I can exactly match this cadence.
I'm so happy, by the way, that you did this, because I really wanted you to do this way, and you read my mind. Go ahead.
The question is, how many guest appearances, and that's not unique individuals, have been on Chats as of this recording, and not including Patreon? How many guest appearances, not including unique individuals, have been on Chats? Is it 32, 42, 51, or 61?
Well, I know that we're in a few months going to hit our 300th episode, and that makes me think about what number makes the most sense with this, average wise. It's definitely more than 32. That feels true to me, because we've done a bunch in this season alone. Trying to think of when we did the most guest episodes. We did a few in Babylon 5. I think across the total of Babylon 5, there's at least 10 to 15.
Yep.
A couple in Chatspender, a couple in Escape Chats, like at least 5.
I think we're at 4 or 5, yeah.
So it's got to be 51 or 61.
I'm gonna lowball it and say 51 final answer. Please.
You are correct.
Here's the 51 more.
Now,
a toast to you all.
Thank you.
I should have switched the order of these ones, because this is the bonus one, and probably would have been better suited for Alan. But I suspect that Magellan is going to get it anyways. So here's the final question. Dad, why are you taking my shirts? Dad. Is the answer A, you don't treat them good enough? B, shirts are for closers? C, they look better on me? And D, same size. Duh.
I can't breathe. I am dead.
Okay, knowing Alan's dad and how he would
This was technically answered on the Discord, actually. I had asked it on the Discord. If you are quick enough to search it, you can find it, and that'll count as ask the audience, because it's via the Discord.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with D, same size, duh.
And you are, of course, correct.
But also, they do look better on him.
That's true. That's true. You're right. I actually told him about that. I was like, Dad, we were listening to an old podcast, and you kept taking my shirts. And he's like, that's hilarious.
And I don't know why, but I just imagine he's like not breaking stride as he's saying that. Just like, oh yeah, ha ha ha.
No, that's the context of it. We're over here. I was in the same exact space. I think I was in the same space I'm recording right now. I didn't have this desk, obviously, so maybe not. But he walks by to like go get something from the kitchen, and I'm like, Dad, you're in my shirt. Dad, why are you wearing my shirts? And then walks away without answering me. And that's why it's me going like, Dad. Like I was being cute, obviously, but it's like That's what it was. Yeah. Chat's
So
trivia.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. There is no prize other than congratulations because it is a tie also.
Yay. That was lovely. Thank you.
That was super
Nick.
good.
That
It
was
makes me realize
such a gift.
what a beautiful community we have and people to remember all this fun stuff about us, and makes me think like, wow, 51 guests, dude, and all these like inside jokes that people are getting. I mean, there's no better value add for the Chat's Patreon than getting to be a part of our wacky Discord and hear all of our absurd backlog of episodes on there.
Yeah. Lots of stuff to listen to.
The problem is, like, I think you guys have hit it before. Don't talk before the episode because then you'll use up what you want to talk about. The only, I guess, the downside is that I say too many things on the Discord, so not so much saved up for an email.
That's another reason to be a patron and join the Discord is you get to see lots of other photoshops and clips and edits and stuff that Nick and other folks do. So
yeah,
gotta get in there.
Beautiful community.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do the plugs. Yeah, does that sound good?
Can you actually tell me what we're watching next time on PeaksChatz?
Oh, PeaksChatz. I forgot about PeaksChatz.
Oh yeah. Magellan, this is a big one. You need to tell me.
We went down the nostalgia train for quite a bit, so it's understandable.
Felt good.
Okay. Next episode's of PeaksChatz. Shoot.
Can I phone a friend?
I'm gonna use the one sound that we haven't used yet. What is it? The shoot? What's that title that Aaron Sorkin always uses?
What a day has it been?
Yeah, is it What a Day Has It Been?
The visceral anger I get when I hear that bumper again. Testament to how much Millionaire I watched.
I was wrong. We are watching the next 2 episodes of Twin Peaks, and we are closing in on the very end of the season, which is hard to believe. It feels like season 2 has actually flown by, oddly, as opposed to dragging. The next 2 episodes of season 2 are The Condemned Woman and Wounds and Scars. First, The Condemned Woman. Truman puts Hank in prison for the attempted murder of Leo, while Hank points the finger at Josie for the murder of Andrew Packard. Ben enlists the help of John Justice Wheeler.
Oh, yes! We forgot about Wheeler!
Yeah, can you believe that they're about to introduce a couple new characters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And then...
Again, another trope of a soap opera, but they're not doing it ironically. They're just doing it.
Yeah. And then Wounds and Scars. Harry sinks into a deep depression. Oops. Hold on.
More spoilers?
Yep.
You're spoiling it all for me because I can't edit it out. I've already heard it.
Sorry. Well, I didn't read the part that was a spoiler. I'm skipping it.
Yep.
Okay, there's a spoiler, and then I'm going to read this part. Norma's troubled sister, Annie, arrives in Twin Peaks.
Oh, yay. Oh, my God, more characters.
Yeah, and then the other stuff is spoiler. So just so you know, there's going to be more characters.
Please tell me she's a twin, and it's like...
Oh, I wish. I will. You know what I will tell you, Nick, is Wounds and Scars is directed by the same guy who directed, you guessed it, Glenn Ross.
Wow, why are they bringing
shirts
in
are for
these...
closers, remember. Shirts are for closers.
Cease.
Oh man.
The Condemned Woman is one of the strangest features one of the strangest scenes in all of Twin Peaks.
Yes.
Please be excited for that. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, plug zone. Here it goes. I'll do it. If you would like to get in touch with Chats the Television Podcast, please send us emails, chatspod@gmail.com. All instances of chats are CHATZPOD, chatspod@gmail.com, twitter.com/chatspod. The community-run subreddit led by the lovely Nick himself, reddit.com/r/chatspod. We're doing Throw Chats Thursdays over there. We listen to old podcasts. We watch old shows. We have an old time. Rate us on your podcast platform of choice. Helps us get the show out there, get more fun people in our fun club. And do consider checking out patreon.com/chatspod, where again, you'll understand so many of the inside references from our Millionaire game here. And if you donate at $5 or more, you get thanked at the end of a main podcast episode. Like, for example, Kat, Marcus, Nick. Wait a minute. Nick and Pat. The Brothers in Infinite War, one half of which is on this very episode. Hello, thank you.
You're welcome. Live.
Fendon, Six, and Stefan. Thank you all for supporting Chats, a television podcast. All Things Chats can also be found on our central website, chatspot.com. And thank you to Camilla Franklin, the wonderful artist who did our podcast art. She can be found on all social media platforms as Camillastrator. Now, folks, we like to do chatsums at the end here, little crunchy pickles for you to bite into between this week and next. Nick, as our esteemed one-of-a-kind guest, can you please tell us what your chatsum is for this week?
It's kind of was already getting a little bit of discussion on the Discord, but I did end up seeing the pilot, the first episode, I guess I should say, of Why the Last Man. Oh. And I will agree with Pat that they did a very good job of modernizing it but still feeling faithful to it. And I wanted to say I'm going to point out for anybody who knows who this is Paul Gross, I think is his name. The guy who ends up playing the president on that is just one of those times where you see an actor and you go, man, he's gotten old. Does that mean I've gotten old? Like now he's old enough that he can play the Republican president. And you're like, oh, now he looks the part. Oh, that must mean I'm old too. So, yeah, even if I just saw the first episode, yeah, still very much enjoying it. And of course I will, still plug the reddit.com/r/chatspot, where Avatar, The Last Chatsbender is lots of fun. Mm-hmm. It's just a fun show, and then just fun discussions about it, and Alan just holding back on his energy for later stories for past Magellan who hasn't heard it all yet.
Yeah, it's a lot of me going like, this is gonna be so good, you haven't seen it yet. It's kind of annoying. Good stuff. Magellan, do you have a chatsum for this week, my friend?
I have a couple. The first is for a book that I've been reading and I'm nearly done with. It's by a poet named Eve Ewing. I've recommended one of her books before, actually multiple times, 1919, and I'll recommend it again. It's a fantastic poetry collection. But this book that I've been reading is her first collection, which is a little more I guess autobiographical, but there's also this kind of, she sort of will like break with reality and imagine things the way that she wants them to be at moments in a way that's really interesting. It's called Electric Arches, and it's just if you like poetry, read it. Electric Arches by Eve Ewing. And then I have a handful of YouTubers. If you're looking for new YouTubers, okay, I've got 3 for you. The first is this YouTuber named Nick Is Not Green. So if you're looking for someone who's doing the sort of Four Horsemen style, like, those guys, Drew Good and Danny Gonzalez, those guys, but it's, he's new, he's up and coming and filling different holes in that space. Nick Is Not Green. It's pretty entertaining. And then I have 2 folks who do like media, like video essays about media as opposed to about social criticism or whatever. Mm-hmm. First is CJ the X. I watched a video of CJ's today that was like 30 minutes explaining why Tangled is a better movie if you don't watch the first 5 minutes. And that was a pretty good video. And then the other person is Khadija Mbowe, or Mbowe. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name.
Can you spell hers?
Yeah, Khadija is her first name, Khadija, and then her last name Mbowe. Oh. And her tagline on her YouTube channel is a cool, fun millennial auntie.
A cool, fun young millennial auntie, apparently.
if that's the kind of person you need in your life right now.
I definitely do. Always looking for a good YouTube rec. Thank you, Megan. I have a chatsum for the folks. I'm surprised we haven't chatsummed this before, and I almost felt like kind of shy about chatsumming in Magellan, but I think it's time that we told the kids about kids these days.
Yeah, sure.
So Magellan and I
have been talking like 15 years in the making or something. Or
yeah, basically.
Not that long, 10 years.
About 9.5 years. So I always remember when Magellan first went across the country for college, one of the first things that he sent me to be like, hey, check this out, because that's how we are friends. We recommend each other things. is he was like, check out this album. It's called Trap House Rock. It's by a group called Kids These Days. And it's this beautiful rap hip hop album. There's trumpets. There is a vocalist. There is a rapper. It's a very eclectic sound. It's all kind of all over the place in terms of like different styles. Trap House Rock is an amazing, amazing album. It isn't available on most streaming platforms in its entirety because one of the unique things about it is that they use a lot of sampling, like liberally sampling licensed music. This is like from the same era as Girl Talk, but they're not doing things as buck wild as how Girl Talk uses samples. And the group broke up after, I don't think they put out any other album. There was an album before that one, but they're nothing after.
Yeah,
Trap
they
House
had
Rock.
an EP before it called Summer Scent, which is on streaming platforms and is also really good.
Yes, you should listen to Summer Scent as well. But Trap House Rock, I re-listened to it recently. I try to listen to it once a year around like September because it reminds me of that period of my life. And it's great. It's really, 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 really good. The best song is probably Dua. I mean, it's just like, it's the really good one. But I recently discovered, I also like Bud Billiken a lot. But God, Ghetto.
Talk to you is
classic. Ghetto was like stuck in my head at work recently. I was like, I didn't know that. It's like a very catchy beat. So Trap House Rock by Kids These Days. Find it wherever you download mixtapes. Is Dat Piff still around? God. That's what we got, folks. Again, thank you so much to Nick for being here. Thank you, Magellan, for being the Carolina Earl to my agent, Dale Cooper.
Okay.
And thank you for listening to PeaksChatz.